Hi players, bonjour from Paris. My name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today I'm going to review Northgard Uncharted Lands by Adrian Dinu. Ready to dive in and see what this game is all about? Let the easy review begin. Northgard is a 2 to 5 player game where each player is going to play a clan of Vikings fighting over who's the most famous clan on the territory. Here we have a setup for a 3-player game, and as you can see, each color has their own materials like the soldiers and the combat die, and also each player is going to choose their special clan. So this is pretty much the asymmetrical part of the game, and each clan is going to have a special ability, either passive or something that it can do during the game. Also, of course, we're going to have 3 unique cards to that specific clan. One of these cards that will start in the drawing deck of that specific player, and 2 others that the player will be able to upgrade later. So let's see how the game really goes. In Northgard, we're going to have a few phases. The first one is the start of the year, where each player is going to draw 4 cards from their draw deck into their hand. After that, the first player will draw development cards, and we have 2 types of development cards. In the beginning, we're going to have early development with this color, and after that, we're going to have advanced development, which means that basically the cards that will come later on are a bit stronger. These cards the player will be able to take as soon as they're passing their turn. Then we're going to have the main phase of the game, which is the action phase. What usually players will do is to play a card from their hand, but also they will be able to wait, replace one of these cards, remove one of them completely from the game, or even upgrade one of the cards into a more powerful clan card. So this is pretty much the deck building aspect in this game, which is something that we'll talk about also a little bit later. The main actions that we'll be able to do is to explore a new territory, so we'll just draw one of these tiles from the pile, and we're going to add it to the board with a few restrictions. I'm not going to go over all of them right now, but basically it has to be, one of the restrictions is to add it to an already open territory. Another main action that we'll be able to do is to move, and that means that we can take any number of soldiers that we have in one territory and move them to an adjacent territory. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit harder because we're going to have rough terrain. That means that we will need to spend more movement actions in order to cross that. But if we have just a normal border, we can just do it with one movement. The third main action that we're going to have is to recruit. So it's pretty simple. You're going to recruit as many soldiers as stated on the card and add them to a territory that you already control. A territory that you control means that you have a territory with at least 1 unit in it. The fourth main action that we can do is to build. So here we're going to have a few types of buildings. First of all, we're going to have either a big building and a small one. And that's important because in different locations we'll be able to either build only small buildings or only big buildings, as you can see right over here. The different buildings will give you different bonuses. So for example, if you're having this one right over here, you will be able to recruit an additional soldier if you're recruiting to this territory. Others will just give you some of resource bonuses like another food, another lumber, wood, or even maybe another lore. Also, we're going to have some defense buildings such as this. That means that if we're having combat in a specific territory, then the opponent will have a certain death for one of their soldiers. And with the big buildings, we have to draw another card, to receive more fame points, which are basically our victory points, and even to receive more defense in form of access. But we're going to talk about combat just in a few more minutes. Sometimes we're going to have special cards that are going to give us a little bit more options. For example, this one with this lightning sign, and that means that on top of the normal card, let's say, that we can play, we'll be able to play more cards that have this lightning sign. So usually we're going to play a card on our turn, but sometimes we would like to wait maybe, so we're just going to take one card from our hand and put it in the active area without resolving it, and then just pass the turn to the next player. Sometimes we would like to replace a card, and that means again that we'll need to play a card into our active area without resolving it. And here is basically where the lore is coming in. And this is another resource that we'll use in order to build our deck. If we don't want, or if we don't have any more cards to play, we're just going to pass our turn. The first player that is passing his turn in that specific year is going to take the first player marker. So he's going to be the first player in the next year, the next round. And also we'll be able to choose, I'm sorry, there's supposed to be another card because we're 3 players. And we'll be able to choose one of these cards that are the development cards, which are basically the same, most of the time the same usual actions that we can do, just more powerful. After we finished with the main phase of the action, we're going to have a mini phase with the creatures, but that's only if we're playing with the module of the creatures that we'll talk about a little bit later in the review. After that, we're going to have the harvest, so we're just going to collect the resources that we have in the territories that we control. And of course, here it comes really in handy if you have some buildings that are giving you more resources. After that, there will be winter, where we're going to need to feed the units. And this is now depends on how many units we have on the board. And the last phase, the end of the year, it's the 5th one. We're going to check if somebody won. And if no, we're just going to continue to the next year. The winning conditions here are either one player that is controlling 3 closed territories, that means territories like this one right over here, and not an open one as we can see over here. And also in each one of these 3 closed territories, we need to have at least 1 big building. If none of the players achieve that before reaching to the 7th round, then we're going to have basically a count of how many fame points, and we're going to have some tiebreakers that are a little bit less important for this review. And there you go, that's the basic game of Northgard Uncharted Lands. So as you can see, the game is pretty straightforward. It's super nice because we have here a true 4X game, which is something that I truly appreciate. 4X is probably my favorite genre of games. So here we do have the explore, as we saw with the new tiles that we can just add to the map. We have here the exploit because we're taking the different resources on the map. Obviously we have here the exterminate because we're going to have here a combat, and we're going to have here also the expand because we're going to different territories and we're going to build different buildings. The combat system that we have here is quite interesting because yes, it is going to be dependent on the dice, but not only about that. So we will have here ways to a little bit mitigate the result of the die. Obviously, it's going to be super important with how many units you're going to attack, because each unit is going to be worth 1 axe. Also, some cards give you bonuses of axes, and as we can see, we have here buildings that also give a bonus of that. And for each food token that we're going to discard in a specific combat, we're going to have here another bonus of an axe. And at the end, after we have rolled the dice, then we're going to, that's a little bit funny over here, 4 skulls. But in any case, after that, we're going to count how many axes does each clan have, and that will be the decisive moment that we're going to see who is the winner. So all the elements of the 4X genre are over here, and this is something that I absolutely love. So not only that, we also have here the deck building aspect, and it's quite interesting because every round for sure you will take at least 1 new card from this development market, if we can call it like that, and add it to our deck. If you did not have enough food, for example, to feed your soldiers, you're going to have this unrest card that you have to put in your deck, and you will not be able to get rid of this. This is something that will, of course, hurt your card count, and also at the end of the game, you're going to have here a minus of 5 fame points. So this is pretty interesting. Some things that I less liked in this game are, we can say the base game, which is what I showed you right now, is a little bit flat. It means that there is not a lot of depth into it. Very straightforward. You're going to play this card, take this action. Most of the time, if you have more units, you're going to win. You have here some variables, of course. And already speaking about variables, we have here another module that is quite important to this game, which is creatures module. which is pretty, I find it important because after a few first games that you're going to have, you will want to do something more. So here we're going to have another mini phase between the action phase and the harvest phase, which is to activate the different creatures that we have. So every time, again, let's take a look at the board. Every time we're going to have a symbol like this with this paw or whatever, we're going to draw a card from this creature deck, and we're going to see what is the result. So here we see that we have a wolf in a specific color. So we're just going to take this wolf. I'm sorry, right now you can see that I'm on my way to paint these miniatures. It's going to take me time. When I'm going to do another video about this module, it will be painted, I promise you. But you're going to take this and put it in the tile that you just explored that have this. You're going to add it here to a row of creature cards, and every time that we're having this creature phase, we're going to activate it. And each creature is going to do something else. We no need to get into it right now. But basically what it does, it a little bit disturbs the other players. It means that if this wolf is next to my territories, as you can see right over here, then it's going to disturb me. It's going to bother me. It's not something really that I can control. It's not something that is going to add, I don't know, more aspect to the strategy, because this wolf is not something that I will be able to send to attack another player. The same goes with the different animals that we have over here. We have here the bear, the fallen Valkyrie, and some other things. So as I said, we played this game at a 3-player count, and everything felt super quick. I mean, games were over after 50 minutes, I want to say. So once you understand the rules, everything is just like flying. And we never got actually to the 7th year. Everything was over much before that. So I felt again that this game is great. There's a lot of potential, but I don't know, there was something like really a 4X game that finishes after 50 minutes, that's all. And then when we played at 5 players, the game a little bit seemed like it's taking too long for what it is. So for me, I think the sweet spot is pretty much at 4 players. I think that I would not play this game with less players. Besides that, the setup is rather quickly. Also, the rules are really well written, which is something that the more I play different games, the more I appreciate just a rule book that is well written. You finish reading that, and you're not left with a lot of questions. You're like, hold on, I forgot something. You just look for it, and the answer is right there, and the game continues. Material-wise, well, I mean, yeah, they're okay. I mean, the insert that we have right over here is kind of sweet, because you have here all the place for all the tokens. Not all the time I find these tokens very comfortable, and I think sometimes I would prefer just like a normal carton tokens for the different resources. But you know, they meant well, so for me it's pretty much okay. Also, there's a place here for the development market and for the different building tokens. So material-wise, things here are great. The tiles themselves are flat on the table. So now I'm going to do something that I very rarely am doing, and that is me suggesting for you that if you do get this game, because as you can see right over here, there is I bought it secondhand for I think about 120 euros, something like that, but that is the Warchief something Kickstarter that came already with the 2 expansions. So let me present it to you. The first expansion is the Wilderness that you can see right over here, that basically contains 2 things. You have here basically some more creatures that you'll be able to bring to your creature deck, and then just have more variety of things. So again, if you're finding yourself playing this game more and more, and these creatures are already a little bit boring, let's say, or not really your thing, you can just add those creatures. And also you're going to have here something that is called environmental tiles, that are some different tiles. Some of them are going to look exactly the same. Some of them add an impassable border, for example. So not something crazy. And some of them are going to be specific tiles for specific creatures that we're going to have, just like this pretty cool mini that we have over here. So yeah, that's I will be happy to paint that. So we're going to go to that also. But this is basically, that's it. That's what this expansion is adding. So for me, this expansion is like, okay, didn't do for me anything special. I don't think, like if I can choose between this expansion and the other one that I'm going to show you right now, I would choose the other one. So this expansion is the Warchief Extension, as you can see right over here. And here we're having some more interesting things. So first of all, cosmetic-wise, we have here some pretty cool things. So here we're going to have here a generic board, just with the color of that specific player. And then you'll be able to match to it the other board with the specific land that that player has taken. So it's a little bit of a reminder, it looks a little bit better. It shows you like where your draw deck goes, the discard, the active area. For me, this is kind of the, I don't know, deluxification that I would like to see in a game. For me, it has here all the information, no more need to look in this player aid that is a little bit small, not comfortable, getting lost, I don't know what. It's just you have this, it looks better, and I really like it. Also, what we have in this expansion is more adding to the asymmetrical part of the game. Now, for me, this is what excites me about this game. So if, for example, I think this is already the third video that I'm talking about Uprising, but if we're taking a 4X game that is Uprising, then every different clan there is going to be completely different with this different even units that you'll be able to recruit. And this is what I'm looking in a 4X game, because I don't want to be just like the other faction with just a little bit, a small change. I want to be like different. And then I'm saying to myself, okay, with that specific clan, that is my strategy, but he's playing with the wolves. So what am I going to do against that? So here we're just going to have more of that. So first of all, we're going to have here some other miniatures and more cards, more clan cards that we'll be able to add to the deck itself. We're going to have here some leaders. I think it's going to be easier if I'm just going to show it to you like this. So we're going to have here the different leaders that we'll be able to recruit. And again, this is something that will add to the asymmetrical part of the game. So again, usually I don't say it because I always prefer to, first of all, play with the core box. I think this is a mistake that I did when I just started playing board games. So I'm like, oh man, but it has like not only the core box, it has this expansion. So I prefer to pay like more money and just have everything and make sure that I don't miss anything. And I'm like, hold your horses, all right? Like, take it easy. First of all, check if you like the core game, the mechanics of the game, if everything is working for you. Then you like it and you play it a lot, great, then get the first expansion, see how it goes. You like it again, this is already one of your top 5 games, great, then get everything that you would like to enhance your experience. Because I think that, guys, how many times you really like the game and you're like, okay, give me all the expansions, and then either you never played with them, or either one of the expansions really, I don't know, disappointed you. So I prefer to go one by one. But if you don't have it at all and the core game looks interesting for you and you can choose, then I would take this one, the Warchiefs. Because for me, the asymmetrical part of the game that will make sure that every time you sit at the table, something will be different, is a little bit better than just to have a few more tiles and I don't know, a few more creatures. Guys, if you've been watching so far, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you learned something new or if you saw something that you like, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to have a super nice free giveaway for you when we're reaching 500 subscribers. Take care and see you next time.